Hi, I'm Jacquie Mackenzie. I'm reaching out to you from Ecuador, South America, where I live with my husband, who's a Vietnam veteran, and 3 dogs. So this is probably going to be interrupted by one of the 3 dogs, or all three. But I'm going to try again. I started my channel in 21 when I was living in the Eco-Orbit house. It was a greenwashing scam, so we lost the house. We still have to pay the mortgage, but we've lost the house. But God, life is great now. I gotta tell you, living from pension check to pension check is not bad in Ecuador. If you're a farmer, you see the babies, I'm a farmer. I was born on a farm in New Mexico, Roswell, New Mexico. Yes, 1947. I was my daddy's little alien. My father actually visited the site where the space junk, no, it was not a weather balloon, the space junk landed. And he picked it up, picked up several different pieces. No, he didn't see an alien, but he did pick up pieces and handled lots of different things on the ground. And the only reason I know for sure that it was space junk is because after he was recalled into the military because of what he saw. They wanted to keep it quiet. But then after he retired after 28 years in the Air Force, Army Air Corps, and then the Air Force, he worked for NASA for 17 years. And he was the last inspector on the Apollo, the shuttle, and the Saturn projects. And so when they landed on the moon and brought back a moon rock, he actually held it. And he said to me, honey, what I held in my hand from the moon was not from this planet. Neither was what I held in my hand in Roswell the year you were born. And I know my father told me the truth because that's the kind of guy he was. But he also told me that he spent his entire time in the military after 1947. Well, actually, he wasn't recalled. His time was different. And he wasn't recalled until they needed him for the Korean War. I think he went in back in 1949. He was in World War II before that, before he got out. And then he went back in and went to Korea. Somewhere in 50 to 55. I'm not going with history. But anyway, he told me that he was always afraid the government was going to put him in a position where he would die. And he was, even on the sacrificial team for a number of years before he retired. Very, very difficult job. He just thought that then they'd only have me and my mom to kill him because I was an only child. And I kind of, I believed my dad. My dad was always honest with me about things. But when my husband, after my dad died, years after he died, my husband told me that when he was over an area of Vietnam in Tricky Dicky, that's our president, Dick Nixon. He was on the radio saying that they never flew over the place he had orders to fly over at that moment. He realized, too, that the government doesn't always tell the truth. So anyway, that's the story. I was born in Mexico on an organic farm. Dad always talked about organics. He made a big deal about it. He was very sad when he got recalled into the military. I always wanted to go back to a farm. We went back to a farm in 1996. From 94 to 96, we traveled all over the United States, my husband, looking at ecological places, trying to get into a community. But at the time, they had a restriction on 55, and my husband was 54, 55, and 56 when we traveled in the alternative stand. That's no longer the case. The Federation of Potential Communities has changed a great deal. And so lots of areas now let in older folks, but they didn't then. So we created our own place just north of Mexico. We were in Douglas, Arizona. We had 1,227 acres there. I can find some old pictures, I'll post them. But we lived there in a farm until the crash of 08 and 09. It just made everything so difficult. I ended up going back into school and finishing my PhD in central Mexico on a farm, and indigenous people all around us. And then we moved to Ecuador when we realized my husband couldn't breathe anymore. His lungs were scarred by Agent Orange. So we've been here in Ecuador for a little over 12 years. And we had that Eco Hobbit house that you'll see in my earlier videos. We had that from 2018 until March of 2025. The greenwashing scam was just more than we could handle. We had so many legal cases against us doing everything to get rid of us. They just wanted us to build a house apparently. I don't know. I don't know what they wanted, but they took a lot from us. And it was really a depressing time. But we now have beautiful rental. I'm not very good with outside spaces, but we have somewhere between 5 and 7 acres of land out there. We rented a house, an older house. There was no spot for a refrigerator, so it must have been an older house. Anyway, we love it. It has some beautiful high ceilings. See my planes up there? You can't see my planes? Oh, there they are. There's 2 planes. I was a pilot. My husband's getting ready to build a 3rd one for when I was doing aerobatics. Isn't that fun? Anyway, we're retired here now. And it's wonderful. I love it. I love it so much because we've turned the living room into an art studio. I do fiber art and make sustainable art. This is a pen. That's what I do to keep my sanity in this crazy world. I will be 79 as of tomorrow. I can say this month because my birthday's in January. I'll be 79 and I could not be happier with where I am now. I live in Ecuador, in Malacatas, Ecuador, near Vilcabamba, which is a heavy expat community. Living on all this land, and my dogs have plenty of room to run and play. Golden Retriever who will be a year old next month. And little rat terrier. And it's 2 little girls. The other one's a Hungarian Moody, and they're rescues. And I'm looking forward to being on this channel. I've got a lot to talk about. My husband has seen almost the entire world. If you see that map over there, you'll see there's a tiny little space that he hasn't covered. My father flew the entire world in the International Geophysical Year. And I've flown a lot. I was a flight instructor. I've also seen every state but Hawaii. And so I have a lot to talk about. I have a lot to share. I've also been a counselor online as a neo-pagan minister for the last 40 years. And I'm currently a drug and alcohol trauma counselor online on a program called Lifering. And it gives me a real view of life in wonderful, expansive way. I'm also involved with the council on the Climate Psychology Alliance. I've been with them for about 5 years. And with Deep Adaptation Collapse Group, I've been with them for about 3 years. I really spend a lot of time online reaching out to other people. And I'm looking forward to reaching out more to you. Thank you so much.